What's going on, guys? It's Hi, and I recently bought into the Rhino slider system. Today I just want to talk about my experiences with this system and some things that I think potential buyers should be aware of. So this is the Rhino slider system. In front of you is the Arc 2, the high-speed slider motor, and the 24-inch carbon fiber slider. I also have the focus, carrying case, and some other minor accessories, but we won't be getting into those things. I fully invested into this system for a total of $2,910 before taxes. No doubt a major investment. Well, at that price point, I expected a certain level of quality and care. Let me just tell you that some of these products are not the first that I've received. I've had to exchange some of these things out multiple times now. I first ordered the Arc 2 and there were a few issues. One, it arrived with some damage. There were noticeable scratches and scuffs on the main body. Some edges even looked as if someone had been prying on them to try to get them to separate. It doesn't help that there's a lot of plastic, so things get damaged quite easily. The display also had a bunch of scratches, and I can even see some contaminants under the screen from assembly. On top of this, the Arc 2 just seemed to be making a lot of noise when in use. This product is advertised as having a 15-pound load capacity. Well, the setup that I've tried with the Arc 2 was the Sony a7R III with a 24-70 f2.8G master, and this combination weighs less than 5 pounds. Even at only a third of the max payload, when I used the Arc 2 to tilt up and down, it would make a very audible vibrating sound. Because of this, I contacted customer support and got an exchange. The second Arc 2 came along with everything else, and again there were issues. The Arc 2 itself again arrived with some minor cosmetic damage. I was willing to look past this stuff on the main body, but when I saw the screen, this time it had even more scratches and a noticeable gouge. There was also a pretty noticeable piece of contaminant under the screen. Then when I went to look at the slider motor, it was pretty obvious that someone else had mounted it and tried it out, considering that there were paint chips at the mounting locations. I tried to look past this stuff because at this point, it's already been weeks since I made the original order and I just wanted to use the things I purchased. So I set everything up and did some initial test runs. Right away, something was up with the slider motor. It was making a lot of noise. Whenever the carriage moved away from the motor would make an audible scraping sound. When the carriage moved towards the motor, it would make a clicking sound. So there was really no winning. The slider motor always makes noise. The weird thing is, these noises correspond to the speed of the slides. If it was a slow slide, there would be slow scrapes or slow clicks. If it's a fast slide, then I hear those scrapes and sounds louder and faster. Now at this point, I would love to give you an example of what the sounds are like during a fast slide. Fast in terms of the speed setting of the slider, but as I was recording this video, the system just stopped working properly. If the slider is set to the fast speed, the slider motor would stop the carriage at about the halfway point. Sometimes I would have to backtrack and it would let me advance a bit more, but not all the way to the other end. My assumption is that for whatever reason, when I put the slider into fast speed, it just seems like the motor forgets the endpoints. This kind of explains why the carriage stops in the middle of the slider, and then when I try to backtrack it, it forgets the other endpoint and just slams into the slide motor. Not only is my 24-inch slider reduced to about 12 inches, but it sounds like my slider motor is damaging itself. It could be damaging the slider, and who knows, maybe it could even be damaging the Arc 2. It should be noted that I've tried recalibrating the slider and that doesn't seem to work at all. The only thing that seems to work is to turn the whole system off, leave it for a couple of hours, come back, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. At this point, I would have to say that I'm pretty disappointed in this system. At around $3,000, you'd think that this would be it, especially with all those high praise reviews on YouTube. Who knows, maybe I just happened to receive multiple bad units in a row. I really don't care about the reasoning. I'm just glad that I'm within the 90-day return period, so these things are going back. If you're interested in the Rhino slider system, I'm not going to tell you not to buy it. It's your money, do whatever you want with it. just know that there's a chance that it may not live up to the hype. Like I said, everything that I bought is going back, and I personally will not be purchasing another Rhino product. Hopefully, I'll be able to show you another slider system soon, one that works properly. At this point, it's been about 2 weeks since I returned all of my Rhino camera gear equipment, and I wanted to hold off on making this final part of the video because I wanted to see how the return transaction was going to play out. For the most part, doing the returns is fairly straightforward as they have an automated system. You kind of just go online, fill out the forms, and they send you a return shipping label. In my case, most of the money was returned. I didn't have a restocking fee or anything like that, but when I purchased all of my equipment originally, I had to pay shipping for it. Now, when Rhino got all the equipment back, they decided to not return the original shipment cost. I just thought that this was a little bit weird because after all, this is kind of all on their part. All of the issues that I had was because of Rhino camera gear's behalf. It wasn't because I did anything wrong, it's because they sent me faulty used equipment, damaged equipment. So I just thought, hey, maybe they'll return the original shipping cost. But it turns out they're not going to waver on that. It's 50 bucks, you know what? Alright, I'll take that loss. It's whatever. The main thing that I wanted to cover right now is the Rhino camera gear switch and save program. If you're unaware, this program essentially allows you to take a camera slide that you already own from a certain list of manufacturers, ship it off to Rhino, and they'll give you $500 credit towards their products. This is what I did with my Patron Slider 1. I shipped it off to them, they gave me $500, and then I purchased a bunch of other Rhino equipment. Now the problem here is because I did all of the returns, what was going to happen with my switch and save slider, the Patron Slider 1 that I shipped off to Rhino? Well, in short, they ship it back to you after you get your refund. The problem is, at least in my case, the slider that I shipped off is not the slider that came back to me. Don't get me wrong, this is very likely the exact same slider one that I shipped off. I can't verify because I didn't write down the serial number or anything like that, but let's just say that it is the same slider one. The slider just didn't come in the same condition as I sent. Now, it's very obvious that someone over at Rhino Camera Gear took this slider apart. I can tell that this is the case because if we just look at the camera carriage on the slider 1, it's pretty apparent that somebody over at Rhino took the screws apart, maybe tore this whole slider apart, and really did not put it back together well. The carriage is now very loose, very sloppy, and it just moves around a lot more than when I shipped it off. When I went to turn the slider 1 on to see what's going on, well, it turns out it doesn't even function anymore. Because it was improperly put back together, the slider essentially doesn't know where it starts and ends, so it kind of just runs on forever, grinding its own gears and pretty much destroying itself. And of course, because somebody took this slider apart, the warranty is pretty much voided. I can no longer send this slider in for warranty claims through Patron because for all they know, when somebody opens up this slider, they could have tampered with it and caused it damage themselves, rather than because of Patron's manufacturing. Here's another little funny thing. When you buy the Patron Slider 1, it comes with this little toolkit, which is essentially just 2 Allen keys, but it comes in this little carrier. Both Allen keys sticks into the side of the carrier and stays in place. I don't know how they did it, but the people over at Rhino managed to break this carrier, and now the Allen keys don't even stay in place. Again, that's just a stupid minor little thing. The main problem here is that I now have a Patron Slider 1, a slider that I shipped off in like new condition because I really never even used this thing. It came back to me essentially now broken. So what can I say? Rhino Camera Gear really screwed me over. Not only am I out the original about $50 in shipping, but I'm also out a couple $100 on this slider that I sent to them. I can't stress this enough. If you are going to participate in the Switch and Save program from Rhino Camera Gear, go ahead and buy the Rhino Arc 2 head first. Make sure that it is in absolutely perfect condition, that it's not damaged or really anything else, any other issues wrong with it. Only then, and when you are absolutely sure that you want to commit to this system, then send to Rhino your Switch and Save slider. Because if you do everything at once like I did, there may be issues with the Rhino camera system, and then you have to return everything, and like you see here, my slider originally came back broken, and now I'm out a couple $100. I really do not know what to say right now because I feel that Rhino camera gear really dropped the ball on this situation. I was absolutely willing to invest thousands of dollars into their company, but then they end up screwing me over and I lost a couple $100 because of it. I'm going to repeat again, I'm not going to tell you what to do with your money, but if you are going to invest into the Rhino camera gear system, just be careful with it. Just look out for yourself because, I mean, you might end up worse off than you began. And that's all that I have to say about this topic. If you are going to invest into the Rhino camera system, best of luck to you. I really do hope that everything works out. Finally, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, share it around, comment down below with any thoughts or questions that you may have. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more content. Thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.